Check one, check two. Good morning. Hope everybody had a restful weekend. We're going to jump right in for what we came here to do. Good morning, Janae, Johnny Goodwin, and Nori Standard. Good morning to all of you. In our pre-market, the Dow futures is up 0.12%. The S&P futures is up 0.22%. The NAS futures up 0.34% currently. Europe last reported mixed bag. DAX down 0.17%, FTSE up 0.30%, CAC up 0.08%, FTSE Milano down 0.02%, Stock 600 up 0.23%. Again, DAX down 0.18%. European markets higher as traders look ahead to Fed meeting. Phillips up 45%. Atos up 16%. Asia was all green. The Japanese yen strengthens after touching 160 to the dollar. Asia stocks rise as Fed meeting looms. ASX 200, that's Australia, up 0.81%. The Nikkei up the same amount. Kospi up the most, 1.17%. HSI, which is Hong Kong, up 0.54%. And Shanghai up 0.79%. The VIX currently is up slightly, 1.06%. And the Russell 2K is up 1.05%. Good morning, Lisa Henry. We got some things happening, of course. We got the market movers as part of our overall look. Google is one of the market movers for this morning, as well as I'm not familiar with ResMed, but we can take a look at Google when we get to that point. For investing, for Forex Factory, nothing was being reported today. Of course, that does not mean that nothing is happening. That just means that they're not reporting anything on their site. Investing.com, we have one star events happening. At 10 o'clock, the Dallas Fed PCE for March. 10:30 is the Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index for April. And then at 11:30, the 3-month bill auction and the 6-month bill auction. Those are the only things that are lined up for today. But as you know, we got earnings happening. So, click this off. Here's what we got going on for earnings. Before the open today, SoFi on semi. We got Domino's Pizza, Phillips, Jinko Solar, Franklin Templeton BVVA, Alliance Resource Partners, and looks like Dayco, New Energy, and Bank of Marin. I will not go through all of these, but I will definitely, obviously, I'm going to highlight the tech stuff, right? So I know the NXP is tech. Logitech is obviously tech. And Lattice right here is tech. Chegg, if I'm not mistaken, is educational software. So I don't have a problem putting them in the tech space. That's the bell from that angle. Before the open on Tuesday, this week is a heavy tech week. So we got PayPal popping up before the open on Tuesday. Of course, we got some, Lilly, 3M, McDonald's, Coca-Cola is in this mix as well. After close, we got Amazon, AMD, and Supermicro. Supermicro has actually been around for a while. I started charting them like over maybe a year ago. I remember posting to keep an eye on them, and they started blowing up recently. Starbucks is on the menu. Riot is part of the Bitcoin space. Pinterest, obviously, software infrastructure is where I'll put them. But that's happening after the close on Tuesday. Nothing in terms of Wednesday before the open. Obviously, most of us probably are familiar with Pfizer, CVS, but MasterCard. The reason is also reporting. I'm not even sure that I knew that Wingstop was publicly traded. But they're publicly traded. Estee Lauder is stepping up to the plate as well. That's Wednesday before open. After close, though, here we go with the tech. Qualcomm, Paycom is in that list. I see Carvana, not tech, but Fastly is definitely tech. And Etsy is not tech, but it is software driven. And then Albemarle down here, not tech, but a big dog in their space. And then Thursday, surprise, Peloton is still around. Moderna, most people know about Moderna. Here's ConocoPhillips for the oil space. Then Thursday, after close, here we go. Apple steps up. Coinbase steps up. Block is in there. Block used to be called Square. DraftKings has been making some noise, but Cloudflare, Bill.com, Fortinet, all of those will be in the tech space as well after close. So we can expect something to be going down. Qualcomm, as a matter of fact, is connected to Apple because they do a lot of stuff with those iPhones. So that's something to that I'll be watching anyway. And then on Friday, the most notable thing on Friday for me anyway is CBOE. These are the people who are the clearinghouse for our options. So in other words, I don't know where we would be if they wasn't the ones making sure those options get cleared. So that's who stands out for me for them. But obviously, everybody probably knows Hershey's. Come on now. I ain't the only one around here that has some Katie bars. All right. So we got a lot of stuff happening in a lot of different sectors for this week. And so, besides XLK, which is the tech sector, ETF, there's, consumer discretionary is in here. Consumer staples is in here. So we got some of everything. So the charting is going to be very important for this week. It is every week, but even more so for this week. Because as we have seen with what Apple can do on its own, just with the S&P, all these other heavy hitters in their spaces stepping to the plate that can cause a little something. So good morning, Tamar. This is what we got for Adam Mancini on Friday. The plan in SPX was simple. Bulls retain control, and as long as 5077 held, 5114 was target. 5077 held, and we hit 5114, basing here since. The plan today, keep holding runners, 5096 to 5114. Flagging zone to set up 5127, 5131, 5137 through 5140 major. If 5096 fails, dip to 5077, 5071. So 5096 is what we are looking at. Right? You have any tickers that you would like looked at? Please feel free to drop them. And what we're going to do is we'll just grab one of these. Matter of fact, let's go this route. We'll just clear the whole thing. Clear this whole thing. Clear the drawing set. So it was a gap up this morning. This is what happened this is the 15-minute chart on SPX. So this was Friday. Thursday when it closed, it gapped up, and this was the run that it went on. It didn't start breaking out really until around here, and then kind of did this little wiggle. But it didn't do anything super major that was being reported. It seemed like I guess people thought it was going to do more. But this is the gap. I'm going to mark the gap from this morning. So make sure we have that in place. So as of right now, what that means is under S on the 15-minute chart anyway, below current price even further, we have another gap down here that is probably waiting to be filled. Okay. And then we'll come back here later and start making the adjustments for the 15-minute breakout and see where that gets us. Matter of fact, what we'll do is add a couple lines now and then make adjustments as we progress forward. Good morning, Karen. XSP. All right. We will put XSP on the list. All right. We'll make it look like that. Okay. So that's what we got so far. Lady T, good morning. Right. Good morning, Alyssa Pink Elton. Let's see here. I did notice overnight the ES, so it closed. The last close was like 51.29, I believe. It was fluctuating overnight. It was one of the things that I noticed. So it'll be interesting to see where it ends up landing on today. All right. We will do XSP. Put them in here, which, as you know, is, or if you didn't know, XSP is the mini. This should look familiar to everybody. CBOE, reporting earnings for this week. We were just talking about them. The mini S&P index is XSP. I'm going to mark these two most recent turning points on the monthly. I feel like I put it right there. And then it's trying to make its way on down. So here's what happened. It started coming down. It hit this point and started moving on up this way. We could definitely say, if nothing else, on the weekly chart, there is a gap right here. 505, it gapped up and pushed down a little bit. So we said 505 to 507. There will be a gap right here. It filled a gap, as a matter of fact. Last week, was it? 2 weeks ago? Last week, when it filled this gap from over here. Right? But if we're looking at it from, to be honest with you, I would have to mark this here, leg in, base leg out. I don't like that formation particularly. I would probably prefer to go up here, leg in, base, because there's a gap right there for the leg out. But on the weekly chart, is not the main focus. I'll just look for certain levels, buyer zone here, buyer zone here. And this has a seller zone formation. It is just ugly. but this is the one that I will be paying attention to. And this is the daily. I thought I was on the weekly. Sorry. So this right here, leg in, base, leg out, would be on for the weekly one. Boom, boom, boom. So that is a matter of fact. What I'll do is, since that was on the daily, I didn't realize it, and saw an ugly seller zone. Let's do this. Just chart the weekly seller zone. All right. Get to the daily. See what happens down here is a really strong buyer zone on XSP for the weekly. That's down here at 420, 410 to 420. This is a super strong zone down here. So that's definitely one to be paying attention to at some point in the future. I am very sure. All right. So this higher one is the one that it ended up being that I was talking about that I would be choosing anyway. So, we just do it this way and go ahead and use it. It just means that the zones, at the very least, seem to be in agreement. And then we'll come down here, boom, and boom. All right, and we're doing this so that when we're on the lower time frames, depending on how you chart, everybody charts differently. For this one, I'm just doing a standard zones. Instead of just doing the swing points, I'm just doing the actual buyer zone, seller zone on this one because I feel like since XSP is SPX and we got so much stuff happening in terms of earnings, I think depending on how somebody is going to be trading this, that's probably going to be, these zones are probably going to be a factor as opposed to just knowing where the turning points are. You can see right here, it's trying to fill this gap from this morning. So that's what's happening. Trying to push down into that gap. So we're going to go just like this. Make an adjustment. All right. We'll see. I know that on some people's list right now is probably side of Super Micro, which we will take a look at. I know Google is on some people's list. So this is XSP. As far as the daily chart is concerned, it is overall recently on an upswing on the daily. And man, since you have such a, it's currently pushing down. So here's the thing. It's pushing into a gap right here, but there's also a gap providing support under here. And then under that, it's a buyer zone. So depending on what you are intending on doing, I guess you have quite a few options. The other, like I said before, you could use this as a seller zone as well. Small leg in and base leg out. I'm not a fan of it, but it is there. So I want to pretend like it doesn't exist. What I definitely would be doing here, though, is making sure I just acknowledge the fact that this has been a price where it has turned around multiple times before, or not turned around, but it has hit that line. Um, this was resistance at one point, became resistance again, even though it went through. So this is a price point that I would definitely want to acknowledge to see what's going to happen. So even if we didn't use this as a seller zone per se, this price right here is still one worth noting, as far as I'm concerned. So either way, you're still in that same area. It's too early in the morning to be, in my opinion, looking at like where you would get in at, but if you're nosy like I am, or at least want to peek, and see, right? 2.2. I would say 513. Getting 513, 510, 91. I rounded up to 511. And this is 2.2 right here. I'll be looking at 513 area. It's so early in the morning that I wouldn't even be messing with this, but I see that 17 cents full one spread. If you were going above, this is 77% out the money. That's what you would be looking at there. What caught my attention immediately is the distance in between these percentages. It's like 14% difference in between there. I don't know why that stood out, but it did. Then over here, it's pretty much in the same category. Starting with that 78, almost 80%. I wouldn't be getting in right now anyway, but $34 on, if you were doing Iron Condor, $34 on 100 collateral. I'll be the total on both. So I don't know. This right here would be something to watch because this can be a little tricky. Meaning, it looks like it would be the formation where it will go up, base, and come back down, but it can also be the one that goes up, base, and continues up. So the only good news about this type of basing candle is that as of right now, the buyers and the sellers are pretty much duking it out. So that's why it's too early in the day, at least for me, to try to make some type of decision on what to do. And this is the 4-hour chart. I'm just looking to see what else is here. Even up here, yeah, there's really not too much definitive, even on the 4-hour chart, outside of the fact that it is trending upwards and trying to push back down right now. And this would be a cheer on the 1 hour. Leg in, base, leg out. So, and it looks like it would be reacting off. Current price might be bouncing off this cheer right here. So if you want to mark that, that would be something of note. Just based on what the price is currently doing right now. Usually once the lines have gone through, I usually will delete them. And I always tell people, find whatever way works for you so that when you look at your chart, you'll know what you're seeing. Whatever's going to give you the information you need the fastest way. Develop something that will work for you. For me, it's just colors of the lines works the best for me, but whatever helps you get to where you're trying to go. So if you're doing it on the if you trade based on the 4-hour chart, I would say you got a 1-hour price point right here. That is current price is stuck between. Then there's a gap right above it. So it's sandwiched in between there. All right. Then you got another gap under it. That's XSP. I don't know what whoever requested XSP, I don't know if they're in it or not. What time would you make the move for you? I usually wait till I start investigating stuff about 10:15, 10:30. That's when I start looking. I'll chart stuff, but I'll start looking to get in. Once I'll say 10:15, 10:30 is when I start looking. I try to be in if possible 10:45, 11, somewhere in there. I'm answering Johnny's question. Y'all wonder what I'm talking about. All right. So any more tickers? I hope that was enough for whoever requested XSP. You're welcome. You're welcome, Johnny. Let's take a look, see what SPX is doing real quick. See what we got. Come on. Ugh, why? Hardest time with. I'm gonna change this every single time. All right, let's do that. Okay. So in this case, what we have is it is filling the gap, right? This first candle is our 15-minute. We'll bring this down here because it has pushed down this far. This is our 15-minute candle right here. This guy, so we're waiting to see if it's going to break out of this range at some point in the day for those who trade the 15-minute breakout, right? This is a turning point from the last session. We had trouble getting past here on Friday, so we're still bouncing off that area. Okay. Let's see AMD. Let's switch up to AMD. This is I was not stereotyping when I came to the conclusion. It just turned out to be true. Did y'all know that the CEO of AMD and the CEO of NVIDIA are cousins? So about a year ago, when I found out, that's probably 2 years ago, when I found out who the CEO of AMD was, I was like, oh, she looks like the dude from NVIDIA. Turns out, boom, cousins. I was like, get under here. So I'm talking about. I'm not 100% sure on this whole little thing up in here, but for the monthly, they're retracing right now. AMD is retracing on the monthly chart. Weekly, that means that they are doing one of these numbers. But these are some strong zones up here, though. That's a very strong seller zone on the weekly chart. All right, it's like it's trying to do something right here, but this is probably a stronger one down here. But this is a nice, it's a nice strong one. Let's do this. See what we got. Some of these tech stocks, please assume that there's gonna be some type of reaction this week. Even though Apple is not semiconductor, it definitely has a hand in that space. Please believe it. And Supermicro has been tearing it up lately. A lot of things changed when AI stepped up to the forefront like it has. So now you're starting to see a lot of companies that might have been behind the scenes providing stuff are becoming increasingly important. So you start hearing about Lady T said they have earnings tomorrow, abort mission. Well, we in now. we in we in now. Don't trade it, y'all. We'll just chart it. That's funny. She was like, wait, my bad. What I'm seeing right here is on the daily chart. Get rid of one of these. I see a seller zone here. Leg in base, leg out right there. And then a buyer zone. There's a couple buyer zones, but there's a leg in base, leg out right here. It gapped up. It went through that one. It didn't go all the way through this zone, but it definitely filled that gap. But then the closest one would be this one. Leg in base, leg out. But this is kind of what I would call a quirky zone because this base is so much longer than this leg out. Kind of weird there a little bit, but we'll do it as AS, not AZZ, as one. You can do this as one revisit. Spin down to this one time. All right. Then if you are so inclined to do that one that's a little bit higher, no problem. That base candle is just way too unorthodox for me. But what you're seeing here is this is the trend line from the weekly, and this is the supply demand zone, the demand zone for the daily. So this is where it crossed and then converged, if you will, and started moving on up. So this blue line right here is from our monthly. That's the monthly price point right there. And that's what it's bouncing off of currently. So that's what we're seeing happening. while looking on the daily. So I would not be messing with AMD right now. Just saying. No, this is one of those that you can this would be actually a good situation. I'm raising this up so I can include this candle in this zone. This would be a good situation to have look at this, and then earnings, after earnings, come back and look at the chart and see how much of a major, if any, but how much of a change may have occurred. Yeah, because AMD has been doing so well. To me, this just seems like a pullback, but a lot of tech stocks are having that pullback right now, it seems like. But what this looks to me like is a potential reverse head and shoulders because of this rundown. So it wouldn't surprise me if it does make its way through there and head back up. But of course, anything can happen. We know that. But this is a serious channel. All right. I mean, to stay consistent, I'm not gonna trade it, just so y'all know that, but I am gonna look. I'll be in here for one spread. I'm surprised this is still a one spread as close as it is to so that would be 20 on $100. I'm surprised that it's usually when you see it getting close to not it being AMD, but some of these stocks they'll get like super volatile, and you'll see way more than that. This is a 2.5 spread on this top side, showing you that the heat is on. So that's what's happening with AMD, but we're not trading AMD because of earnings. We've made that clear. All right. Let me see. I don't see anything else, so we can keep it pushing to SPX, see what SPX is doing. And then we're going to moonwalk our way on. So I made this offer last week. I think it was last week. If anybody needs some raggedy neighbors, I got a set that I'm ready to ship. No cost to you. No cost to you. Okay? No cost to you at all. All I ask is proof that you signed for them. And and we have a contractual agreement that you will not be sending them back. That's all I need. Be so kind. Do the right thing, people. Do the right thing and take these jokers off my hands. I'm saying no breakout quite yet. So looks to me like the sellers are really trying to make sure nothing happens. And don't forget, today is the day that didn't have a lot happening in terms of Forex Factory or investing.com. Put that a lot in quotations. But we do have some things happening on investing.com, but they were 1 star. So this could possibly be a low volatility day since the VIX is down some. Got a request for ELF. I liked ELF. I was in ELF a couple weeks ago. It was all right. I like ELF and I like Carvana. I did okay with those. All right, so we're Like many other things, they are in the pullback mode. Man, this right here, for this to be a monthly chart, man, this is a strong buyer's rejection right here. Man, what was this? 153 zone. Woo. Nothing says nope like a wick that looks like that. We are not even trying to have it. So that's monthly. Let's see what the weekly is looking like. Got something going on. Okay. Now don't forget that in the similar spaces, Elf, Ulta, who else was in there? I forgot who else was in there. That Estee Lauder is publicly traded. I'm just trying to think of the ones that's publicly traded in that similar space. Those could very well be some competition. You can do a couple things with this in terms of establishing trend lines that I've seen people do. Trying to make sure I get it better than when I got it. We'll say it that way. We'll do it that way. But this is obviously moving down. You could widen this out here as well if you so chose. Whatever you do, the overall point is that you understand that it is in the channel. And that's the most important thing, that we establish the direction that it's going in. So I would say like that that might be too wide, but it depends on what you're looking for when you are charting it. Yes, I do remember this. It is I remember when it gapped down here. It closed up here and it gapped down and it pushed up. So it still has a little bit more to fill right there. But what I'm looking at is this right here, because there's still a gap here. So what we got? I'm gonna put that on there, something like this. I'm gonna this up a little bit more. All right. Just trying to get it where both the colors are evident. There you go. Something like that. Now up here at the top, I'm going to say I think this is a funny looking chair formation, but so I will be looking at that. Leg in, base, leg out, leg in, base, leg out. It is currently on the daily chart. I mean, the sellers are still up here, and this was the seller's gap. There's a seller's gap, meaning the sellers push down. That's what caused that space that they're trying to fill right now. Some of us would be looking at a call credit spread. Some of us would be looking at just looking on the other time frames just to see what's happened. So this would still be on the 1 hour. This would still be the seller's zone there. Okay. So we're looking at, because it's turning around and where it's turning around, that is indecision. Right here, it could go either direction. Basically, it's stuck in a way. This formation with this run up may or may not look familiar to you guys, but this looks like it could be a bullish flag happening because it's north to south for the pole, and this here is running down. Could be it. So Janae, I'm laughing at Janae. I'm just saying, Janae, I don't want them, but hey, one of y'all might be like some type of neighbor rehabilitator or something like that. Might be a neighbor rehabilitation. You might know how to do neighbor rehab. Just help a brother out. That's the most important thing in that, is help a brother out. Let's see here. We were doing May 3rd expiration. You were doing a call credit spread. Okay, so I'll tell you where Jamie would be, and I'm gonna tell you where our listener might be. Okay. Jamie would probably be up in that 81%. It's a 2.5 spread. That's 40 cents. If you were doing a call credit spread, Alyssa likes to be closer to the fire. All right. She wants to. This is not my thing. She's okay with this 75% area. Nope. Too close to the fire. This is not Moses. This is not the burning bush. I do not need to be close to the fire.
It's not that. Is that why not be at 70 or 75? I mean, if people are happy with 75 in their classroom grades, or 60s in this case,
I ain't listening to you. My wallet ain't listening to you.
why not be? Yeah, why not be happy with 75?
Wallet is not listening to that. You say it right now.
Your wallet is saying not so.
uh, uh. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, my bravery is telling me no.
Right. That is so funny.
My wallet is telling me yeah, but my bravery is telling me nope.
Mm.
Nope. Back them percentages down. Let Alyssa have that to herself. All right. Alyssa is saying that Elf is going to fill this gap. She did not explain why she is sure is going to fill that gap. Why are you so sure, ma'am, that Elf is going to fill the gap?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm so sure. I'm just saying that's what it's in the middle of it. I mean, and if you look, what is the 50% part of this gap? Like if you look at like halfway across, and we talked a little bit about that last night on the call, that a gap is going to maybe 50% way through the gap is going to provide support or resistance, which it looks like that's about what it did.
Okay. All right.
Now it may pull back a little bit, but of course, nature abhors a vacuum, so it's going to try to fill it.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's doing it today. I definitely am not saying that. It's not investment advice. I'm just saying that it's in it. It's in the gap.
Advice. You're not trying to do that. All right. So you would be trying to do a call credit spread though, right?
I probably would. I would do a call credit spread probably above the gap. So where that green line at the top is, I probably
Yep.
would look up there.
Yep. Yep.
This is the one yesterday. Remember, I was talking on the call about the gaps. Where is an actual gap? Go back to the chart real quick, Jamie. I'm sorry. Where is the actual gap? And it is from the close of the first candle, which would be the close of this little green doji, which is the top of that. Where did that green doji
Here.
close? All the way down. No, the other one, that one. Yeah, that's the one that created the gap.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. So the top of that candle is the top of the gap.
Okay.
We have before been marking the bottom of those candles no matter what, but the gap is formed by the close of one candle and the open of the other. So there will be the top of that doji, that little hammer candle will be the top of that hammer, would go down to the top of this big red candle. That would really be the gap.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Um, I got you. You're talking about up here.
Yeah, so they're going down to the top of the red candle. So that would be be the full, that would truly be the gap.
I got you. I got you. Good point. This one, here to here, and this is started pushing up. So that's why I have this line here. And this is where this guy is trying to do his thing, trying to push his way up. Did we say, was it Estee Lauder was the one that was reporting for earnings? So if you are trading ELF, just be aware of what's going on with Estee Lauder. But since this is a 2.5 spread, so yeah, you could, you know, down there is 37.376. Even if you were going by the the Jamie approved zones, that's 80%. On both sides would be. Let me see. Is that you with all the noise?
It is. Sorry, I was muted.
What you doing, secretary? All right, so
Oh, it's an indicator that's on my Thinkorswim, and it makes the noise, and I don't know how to turn it off yet. I'm looking for the place to turn the noise off.
okay. So we're looking at least 37 on both sides. If you were doing iron condor, things of that nature, you could yeah, that might be all right. I'm in my sim. I'm in my sim right now. Wait a minute. I am in my sim. Let me go ahead and get in this trade. Get in this trade. See what happened. Okay. You think Elf is gonna fill the trade, fill the gap, and we're gonna do Geiges trying to do a little something. All right. So now I was trying to push up, still inside of the 15-minute, but looks like it's trying to push up. And before we clock out, let me go holler at my boy Russ of 2K. Right, so Russell also gapped up. And this will be the last, unless somebody drops another ticker, this will be final ticker. If you're interested, we do have. Let me get this for you. Start with the chart. See, great free resource to use for charting. Right. It's available unto thee. 15 minutes. We'll mark this one. This candle up here. That it looks like it's trying to break on out. Come on, cuz, do your thing. All right. This will be the 15-minute. We would watch it. What time is it now? So, yep, right about now is when I would start investigating where I would want to get in. Anyway, usually 10:30ish. But I would at least start crunching numbers. What I'll be looking for, even if this was SPX for the breakout, RUT for the breakout, doesn't matter. Once I see it break past the line, the next thing that I'll look for is to see if it's gonna do either a retest or see how strong the breakout actually is, things of that nature. Because SPX, Russell 2000, they all kind of will do the same thing, where it'll break out a little bit and then reach, come back this way, sometimes drop below where they open or above where they open, depending on how it started. But I always look to see that there's some type of something to say this might be a retest and it'll be on its merry way. But Russell has not pushed its way all the way out yet either. All right. So this will be something to watch. Okay. We have right here. Oh, let me see. Looking to see who had earnings with the I thought one of the ones we looked at was like the
Yeah, SoFi had earnings, and then you popped, and then not so much.
oh, they fell off.
Yeah, I mean, they fell right back to like seven something. It's like y'all just can't hold a sustained move, can ya? Can ya?
I don't know why I thought EL. Oh, they are right here. Estee Lauder. So they're before open on Wednesday. So yeah, that's one to pay attention to as well. Tuesday is the Amazon one that we were talking about earlier. Tuesday after close. Um, Coinbase, and I would say if you're looking at Riot, Mara, Bitfarm, BTBT, CLSK, which is CleanSpark, Coinbase, and all of them are rolling in the same crew. So you want to be mindful of that when it comes to them. As a matter of fact, I would say the same thing for Block, because Square, it was called Square before, is kind of built. They kind of attach themselves to the blockchain, to crypto. Um, and so that is something to be aware of. They switched it to Block because of that. So that's something to be aware of with them as well. All right. So let's swing back and just take a look, see at the futures. Dow futures 0.24% up. S&P futures up 0.34%. Nas futures up 0.29%. The VIX is up slightly, 0.33%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 0.30%. The S&P 500 is up 0.35%. NASDAQ is up 0.32%. And Russell 2K is up 0.62%. All righty. go. E2T daily declaration. By faith, I am a successful trader. I am a wise and knowledgeable trader. I make smart and lucrative decisions for my portfolios. Money likes me because money is comfortable around me. It is drawn to me. E2T daily prayer. Lord, give us wisdom and knowledge for our trades today. Help us to make smart and lucrative decisions for our portfolios. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. We truly appreciate it. Please, if you got anything out of today's session, hit that like button. We'd appreciate it. Consider subscribing. Always, 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 you're welcome to join our membership. Educatortotrader.com is where you go for that. There is a link in the description to our page so you can join our membership. All right. We always strive to do two things each time we chart, each time we take a trade. Stay green, get this money. Two things. That is your mantra. You all have a great day, and we will see you on tomorrow.
Goodbye, everyone.